America Stand By.
And let's be heard. Good afternoon, everyone. The telephone lines are open. The number to call in New Jersey, 489 WABC. From everywhere else, 212-877 WABC. In a program dedicated to the free and open exchange of ideas and of opinions, in the belief that as American citizens, you have a right to hear and to be heard. And what is on your mind this afternoon? Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, we are an insane nation. Insanity is a disease. It is progressive. That means that the patient deteriorates, the patient gets worse until the patient finally succumbs. We are in a terminal state. Is that verbal overkill? Are these the words of someone who is trying to arouse the public? Well, to a certain extent, I am trying to arouse the public. I'm telling you what is going on because I honestly believe it. And when one gives a prognosis, the prognosis that I have given, one has to hope he's wrong. What good would it do me? What good would it do me on the day they close us down, on the day some Spanish-speaking skunk comes in here and says, this program will no longer be allowed to be heard? What good would it do when they say there will be only one radio station and one television station, and those will be controlled by the government? What good will it do for me to know that everybody nods and says, Grant was right? Big deal. He was right. But we are insane. That's the only solution I can come to. I used to expostulate. I used to theorize, hypothesize, and all those other I's in what was going on, why it was going on, what was happening. And finally, I came to the conclusion we're just crazy. Meshuggah. Avats, loco, whatever. For example, and by the way, if I were to spend this broadcast doing nothing but giving reasons why we are suffering from mass insanity, we would take no telephone calls, we would interview no guests, no newsbreakers. We would just be listening to a recitation of the evidence. Nevertheless, a few exhibits are in order. For example, did you know that there's a new kind of state prison for pregnant inmates only? And guess where it opened? Can you guess? Boston, Massachusetts. The beloved Bay State. The state of Teddy the Swimmer, Tip the Tippler, and Mike the Cacazot. This prison opened in an effort to keep new mothers and their babies together. Look at your ma. She's that convict right over there in cell block 6. A few other prison systems in the country make efforts to allow mothers to remain with their infants for a time. But the Neil J. Houston House in Boston's Roxbury section will offer features unavailable elsewhere. Separating women and babies at birth causes, quote, a serious rupture in mother-infant bonding. I like that term, bonding. Well, why would they want a baby to be bonded to a felon? I'll tell you why, so that the baby could learn to be an even better felon, an even greater antisocial miscreant. Anyway, the group will run the $550,000 program under a contract with the State Department of Correction. One of the reasons Massachusetts has as high a tax base, in some cases even higher, than the state of New York. And this self-anointed do-gooder, Lila Austin, said, "It's a historic step for the state and the country to show respect for the mother and infant bond. Currently, inmates in Massachusetts are separated from their children and returned to their cells within days of giving birth." It's amazing how so many of these brood sows, so many of these bums get pregnant. Some of them got pregnant while they were in the slammer. And will the father please step forward? Inmates of the 15-bed facility will be confined to the building but will have access to counselors, drug rehabilitation, help in reading or readjusting to society, and medical care during pregnancy and after. About 50 pregnant women go through the state prison system every year. There were 17 prison births in 1986, the most recent year for which figures were available. And there are people, though, who try to cure this sickness. For example, in Jackson, Mississippi, a court has ordered the Mississippi Parole Board to pay $3 million to Linda Grantham, who was paralyzed from the neck down in a shooting by a paroled inmate, ruling that the board members who voted to free the prisoner were negligent. Hooray, at last. I've been calling for this for years and told it wasn't possible. Maybe they'll think twice before they parole some mutant killer. And I don't know if Emma Tropiano is able to pick up this broadcast in Allentown. I know we do get telephone calls from Allentown, Pennsylvania. I don't know whether Emma's listening. But if any local politician has gained a reputation as a spokesperson for the residents of Center City neighborhoods, it's Allentown City Councilwoman Emma Tropiano. Yet no politician has been the target of as much criticism from Hispanics, who make a large part of Allentown's Center City population. Well, let me tell you something. During the past 2 years, Hispanic leaders have charged Tropiano with racism for ignoring the nomination of a Hispanic for the Allentown Housing Authority Board, for proposing to cut funding for the city's Human Relations Equal Opportunity Bureau, and for questioning the qualifications of a Hispanic city policeman who was being tutored in English. Now, here's what she says. Listen. I'm not a racist. I don't have a problem with them. I would be the first to help a Hispanic or a black if the need is there and if they are pulling their wagon. But I'm not going to hand it to them. I'm not going to give somebody a job just because they are Hispanic. They're going to have to work for it. And I'll work with them shoulder to shoulder. This daughter of Italian immigrants, 57-year-old Tropiano, who grew up in the city, said her parents went to work and raised a good family without government assistance, and she thinks many Hispanics should do the same. And you know something? Her 79-year-old mother is still working at the Greif's men's suit factory after raising 4 children. We didn't cry to the government. We didn't need child care services. If you choose to have a family, then you raise them. Oh, God bless Emma. Emma said she's opposed to affirmative action in which 2 lists, one for minorities, are used for hiring. Enough is enough, she said. I don't consider them minorities. They are Americans, Allentonians, Pennsylvanians. They should be mainstreamed. Well, Hispanics have not moved up the social and economic ladder as fast as others because, according to Emma, they insist we learn their language. This is America. You have to speak English. But there's a glimmer of hope. She says she sees a new breed of Hispanics, a group who wants to work, who want to live in a clean, park-like community, of people who are crying out for help but who are willing to work for success. The other breed of Hispanics, according to Emma, and I'm afraid she's right, have riddled cities into slums. They're doing that to this city. And she blames Mayor Joseph Dodona for allowing too much low-income housing in Center City that attracts problem people, as Emma calls them, some of whom push drugs and throw trash in the streets. And Emma Tropiano concludes by saying, if the Hispanics have a real friend in the city, it's me. Despite criticisms against her, she won re-election by a wide margin to her second term in November of 1987. The former owner of a Center City grocery store's trademark has become her baby blue Cadillac with E.T. vanity plates. Emma Tropiano. God bless her. Okay, many things to talk about today. Many, many things. And I'm sure we'll get to some of them anyway. A shocking disclosure, ladies and gentlemen. The format of the station is still the same. We are taking telephone calls. Now, there's some people, they just don't believe it. They sit there looking at their telephones. They say, I cannot believe that man would actually take a telephone call. Well, I will. Here's how you contact not just me, but the great tri-state area. 212-877-WABC. Now, if you should be ensconced in the Garden State, New Jersey, the state of Judith Stanley and the rest of her let 'em eat cake bunch, it's 489 WABC. 489 WABC. I shall intone those phone numbers until I think it is propitious to stop. 489 WABC. I won't give it the Kabbalah 7. I might give it the Grant 8. 489 WABC. 489 WABC. Now, those of you who prefer 4s to 8s, it's 489 WABC. Those of you who like the number 9 better, it's 489 WABC. Now, those of you who don't like my giving these telephone numbers this often, those of you who have already tuned out now and are no longer listening, it's safe. All right, to our telephones, let's say hello to Jerry here on WABC. Hello, Jerry.
Yes, Bob. You always talk about how this country is falling apart and how the criminal justice system is so bad. Let me just ask you this one question. Why, through the history of the criminal justice system, that blacks have been executed for killing whites, but no white has never been executed for killing a black or a Hispanic? Now, don't you see that as being a travesty against American justice for all people? Or does it apply that blacks and Puerto Ricans are only 3/5 human beings and it's all right for one?
Well, you're the one who said they were 3/5. You're the one who said they were 3/5 human beings.
Is it in the Constitution?
The Constitution doesn't say that. As a matter of fact, the Constitution, with the Civil Rights Act, with the 14th Amendment, says anything but that. The fact of the matter is, what you're trying to do is what some other jerks try to do. You're trying to justify this massive committing of crime on what you perceive to be some past injustices. And as long as you persist in that, then that means you have declared war on the rest of us, which is what I suspected a long time ago. There are people like you who have declared war on white America. It's that simple, Jerry. And as long as you persist in that attitude, I can come to no other conclusion.
Answer the question.
I answered your question. I said what you're talking about has absolutely no
historical fact. Why has it never?
Say, wait a minute now. If you want to shout, you shout at somebody else's program. I don't think I want to waste my time with you. Get off my phone. Chris, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
How am I doing? Did you hear the last call?
Hello?
Did you hear the last call?
Yeah, I did.
Why do you ask how am I doing?
Well, okay.
I'll tell you why, because you want to waste time.
No, I don't want to waste any time. I got one question for you. Why do you cut down on the Bronx so much? Can I ask you that?
Come down on the Bronx?
Cut down on the Bronx. You talk about the Bronx so much, and it's...
Well, first of all, the Bronx is a borough I'm very familiar with. The Bronx is a borough that I've been involved with in many ways. And the Bronx is one of the boroughs that at one time made this the greatest city in the world.
Right. But
Now, when you say come down,
yeah, well, you
I don't know what you mean by come down, except
cutting down.
in what way have I come down?
about-
Oh, get off, for God's sake. Try to have a conversation, and these people keep talking, try to get some information. What do you come down? What do you come down? I got to get out of here. I can't stand doing this program much longer. Hello, John.
Yeah, how you doing, Bob? I didn't mean that.
Goodbye. Hello, Joe. Hello, Joe. Joe, hello.
Yes. Yes, Bob.
You're on WABC, Joe.
Okay, listen, I want to say hurrah for that Emma Tropiano. We should have more like her. That's not the reason why I called.
That's all right.
I called about what happened, what I read in Friday's paper about the Reverend Sharpton being evicted.
Yes.
Did you read that column?
Yes.
And his live-in girlfriend is an Army sergeant at Brooklyn, Fort Hamilton, getting $348.90 a month to live in a base for off the base allowance.
That's right.
Since when is the government giving these people money to shag up with somebody?
Well, the idea, of course, is responsible for why the Defense Department spends so much money. I don't approve of this living off the base allowance. I think that if they're in the service, they should live on the base unless they have a family. Unless they have a family. Now, this Bhutan.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That's what she is. Nothing but a Bhutan.
Yeah.
She says, "I'm going to live off the base," and they give her this $348 and some odd cents.
Yeah.
And she moves in with one of the biggest phonies of all time, Sharpton.
How do you like that?
The last time I heard Sharpton wailing in a courtroom, he mentioned something about his wife. What wife? What wife?
That's
Somebody
his
please
wife.
yeah.
How does the government make them get away with this? I can't understand that.
Because they're afraid. They're afraid. They are afraid of what the black community will do if they enforce the law equally on Al Sharpton. I've come to that conclusion.
If they gave me Friday, they gave me the runaround. I called them.
That's why Sharpton is so. That's why he's so arrogant.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's dealing with a feckless, cowardly society.
He was on TV today, squawking about the treatment that this Davis got was unjust.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Yes, I can imagine anything. That's another reason I say it's all over, Joe. It's over.
I agree with you. I'm going to come to Australia with you.
1756 Campbell Road Lane, Joe.
Yeah, I'm going to come. Listen.
Yeah.
I see. I was at table 13 at that last affair with Francis and Tony's table.
Oh, with Danny Stiles over at the Holiday Inn.
Me and my brother were there and our wives.
Listen, Joe, we're going to have another one on January 27th.
Good. I'll be there.
Okay. Listen, give my regards to Tony and Nell Morrell.
Okay.
Who are the original Mr. and Mrs. Bob Grant listener.
Okay, fine. I will.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. I like Joe. He got right to the point. He made the statement. And at least we had one caller that got right to the point, and we were able to have a conversation. That slams the lid on things for today. Don't I wish? Who was that? What was that? What was that? I have no idea what that was. I have no idea. I have no idea what that little message was all about. We'll have to devote a program to analyzing whatever the heck it was supposed to be. Anyway, John, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Bob.
Yes.
Bob, John from Mineola. Question, is there a difference when they do radio surveys? I wound up with somebody, called me up about 7:30 last night, and very, very legitimate, on the phone with me for almost a half an hour, doing, what radio station I listen to and blah, 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 and they had this whole checklist. They came down, the last question they asked me was ethnic background. I said, well, I was born in this country. My parents were born in this country, so I'm an American. They said, no, you don't understand. And what they did, I said, well, you're going to run down, 150 countries from the UN? They said, no, it's very short. And they hit am I Caucasian, black, Hispanic. Is that an ethnic thing now, or is it a racial thing?
No, I'll tell you, we have become such a bifurcated society, such a split society, that in terms of advertising, advertisers like to know whether the audience of a particular program is predominantly black, white.
Well, how come they don't call
Hispanic.
it racial as opposed, why do they call it ethnic?
That's a euphemism.
It is.
People are using ethnic.
Very, very nice lady.
Look, please don't bother me telling me that she was a nice lady. Of course she was nice. Why shouldn't she be nice? She was infringing on your personal time. I don't understand you people. Somebody bothers you, is conducting a poll, and they act civil, and you go, she was very nice. Well, shouldn't she have been nice? Could you imagine someone taking a poll and not being nice? Huh?
Well, no. Well, but what threw me was the one question that they racial as opposed to ethnic, and
well, it's a
I was just wondering if that's the
Okay, John, it's a misnomer. It's a misnomer. If they're talking black, white, then they're talking race. If they're talking Greek, Armenian, Italian,
I
German,
didn't want to say I was a hyphenated
Polish,
I'm
then
American.
that's
I was born here. My parents were born here. If you know what I
ethnic.
mean.
Okay, John, thank you very much.
Stay well. Have a good holiday.
Gary, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Bob. I'm a big fan of your show, but the problem is all these people from New York always whine and complain about Cuomo and Koch, and it's their own damn fault because without the two-party system, these people continually, every year, vote Democratic. I live in Brooklyn. Thank God I have a Republican senator like Guy Molinari, and I have Chris Mega, but the rest of the borough is 90% Democratic.
Did you call Molinari a senator?
No, he's a congressman. I'm talking about Senator Mega, Chris Mega.
Okay. Yeah.
And we've been voting Republican out here in Bay Ridge for the last 30 years, 40 years. But the rest of Brooklyn, it's like being in Fort Apache. Everybody votes Democratic. The judges are all liberal, all Democratic, and these people still whine and complain. And it's like the old expression, you get what you pay for. You get what you deserve. These people, they always want to complain about Koch's administration, but the two-party system in the city is dead, and until they wake up and start voting Republican or just changing their voting habits, we're all doomed, and nothing's going to get done. You can complain and whine all you want.
Exactly.
But I agree with you, and keep up the voice of reason and sanity. I really enjoy your show. Have a Merry Christmas.
Gary, I appreciate what you're saying and how you're saying it, but how can I be the voice of sanity when I myself am going insane? Interesting. Okay. Frank, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hi, Bob. How are you? I can't understand all these sickolas that are calling you today. This is unbelievable. Some way to spend a Monday after a long weekend. I mean, they're insane. From the guy who calls up with the toupee all the time, from that Disney idiot.
On WABC, we're going to say hello to Paul. Hello, Paul.
Bob?
Yes.
I'm an avid listener of yours. However, I'd like to point out the error of your ways, and I have the documentation in front of me.
You're going to talk about, I'll bet you, let me take a guess. You're going to talk about the Italian dictionary.
You got
and has the word polacco for a person who is Polish.
Yes.
You weren't listening the day that I read a letter from someone who suggested I be a mensch, good Italian word, and set the record straight. Let me say this to you, Paul. There are a lot more important things than
That's true.
the word
However,
polacco,
you really came
right?
hard on those two people.
But, Paul, yes, I did, because they were trying to tell me what I heard in my home.
I'm curious.
And they had no right to tell me that because they weren't there.
No, but I'm asking you, what did you hear in your home when you were growing up?
Never heard the word polacco.
Oh, you never heard it?
Yeah, well, of course, my folks didn't speak Italian, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, well, that certainly could be a reason.
I mean, the only Italian they would use would be when they talked to Grandma or Grandpa, but they themselves didn't speak Italian.
I had called you once before about the famous moverimo. You used to say your grandfather used to tell you that.
My grandfather used to say moverim. That's right. He used to say a lot of things.
Yeah.
Some I can't repeat on the air.
So I just,
Okay.
You are a mensch, and you did, read the letter.
Yep.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Jeff, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hey, Bob, how are you? One quick question I wanted to ask your opinion on, rather. Since you could say, like, 1988 has been the year of mergers and acquisitions, or maybe the 1980s in general under Reagan, do you foresee it being the same way under the Bush administration in terms of the laissez-faire attitude toward this subject?
No, I think we're going to see fewer mergers, fewer leverage buyouts for two basic reasons. I think that the ardor has cooled. I think we reached a peak in the frenzy for Nabisco, and I think just quite naturally it will die down. Number two, I think if it doesn't die down, Congress may have some remedies to curtail the leverage buyouts if they think it's in the best interest to do that. Not everybody thinks it's a bad thing. There are many people who feel it's a good thing. I want to point out, while we're talking about acquisitions, that Pillsbury was sold to a British corporation for over $5 billion. Those of you who think the Japanese own more American real estate and property and business than any other foreign country, the Japanese do not. The Japanese are third. In first place is the United Kingdom. So the British, although we defeated them when Cornwallis surrendered in 1781 on October 19th at Yorktown, he may have surrendered, but the British are buying back what their army couldn't hold.
Oh, all right, because it's in light of, I see the advantages of the mergers and acquisitions, but I also see the tremendous corporate debt that's being brought up as a result of this. And there was another radio show that I was listening to, and he was saying the primary reason that all these acquisitions would take place because all the investors feel unsafe in starting up new businesses in the United States, and they feel it's safer as a result of the unstable dollar to just buy existing corporations.
Well, it's not that easy to start a new company, and you're competing with some brand names. For example, Nabisco makes a cracker known as the Ritz cracker, correct?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be very difficult for a new company to come along and manufacture and market and advertise and distribute a cracker in competition with Ritz?
True.
I mean, they have the market. They have, it's become a generic, and I'm just using that as an example.
No, that is true because, especially in that case in particular, if you'd ask anybody on the street, what do you think of when you think of Nabisco? You don't think of a company. You think of a cracker. You think of a cookie or whatever.
Sure.
So, all right, but I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And even though our views are different on a lot of things, you're probably the only conservative pig I'll wish a Merry Christmas to, so take care.
The only conservative what?
Pig.
Pig?
Yeah.
Now, why do you put the word pig in there? Well, but that he hung up. I tell you, they're sick out there. Even those people who masquerade as well are sick. He had to get that in there, which means that his call, and it's not really worth any long dissertation, but his call was not a call to solicit information, but was to call me a name. And I was telling someone earlier today that I can't get out of here fast enough after the broadcast of Wednesday because something happens as we get closer to Christmas. The sickies increase like maggots. It happens every year. Let's get back to our busy telephones here on the Mishugana Hour. Hello, Peter.
Hello, is this Adolf Hitler?
That's not even funny. That's not even funny. Not that anything else is either. But I see nothing amusing about the name Adolf Hitler. Do you? Richie, you're on WABC. Hello.
Yes, Bob. I'm calling about this lead article on the front page of the Times today. It's really amazing. We get all the dregs from Africa, from all these islands, because they don't have enough money in their own countries. They have to come here and live off us. And I read now on the front page of the Times they're building an 84-foot high church in the Ivory Coast, costing approximately $260 million. Morocco, they're building these temples. I mean, these people don't have enough money to feed their own people. The rulers, they are swarming to our shores. We have to put up with their ignorance, famine, etc., and they have time to spend millions on these boondoggles. I would like your comments on that.
Well, first of all, don't let anybody be misled and think that the citizens of the Ivory Coast are actually building this obscenely huge edifice. Is being built by a French company. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Of course you are. You read the story.
Yes, I did.
So then you know that it's being built by a French company with a lot of Italian help. As a matter of fact, I think Italian marble tiles, which they brought in from Italy, will cover almost 7.5 acres of the esplanade, which is designed to hold some 300,000 people.
And I suggest that all of the Sengalese merchants who sell their wares.
How did they get in here? How did those slimy scums get in here? That's what I want to know.
Bob, I'd like to know the answer to that. I'd like to send them all back and let them sit on the esplanade of the Ivory Coast and sell all they want.
I'd like to send
watches and all the other junk that they sell.
Yeah, it's
because I've had it. I mean, I see what you say. I listen to you every day. We're being overrun by this garbage. And when these people who call you with their accents don't want to tell you where they come from, they're embarrassed to tell you. That's why they don't want to tell you, because they're embarrassed about the people, their own rulers, their countries where they come from. Yeah. So they come here to ruin our country.
And our Congress doesn't have the guts to amend the Immigration Act and stop these people from all these third world countries from coming in.
Well, it's a shame, Bob.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if you're aware of it, but in Kenya, where they have the largest birth rate in the world, and that takes in a lot of territory, where the least number of children a woman has is 8, the least number.
Obscene, Bob.
Over the weekend, a report came that in Addis Ababa, no, not Addis Ababa, in Nairobi, they have told the people that there is a huge allotment for immigration to the United States, and the Kenyans are lining up like it's going out of style.
Wonderful. This is just what we need. Another wave.
And what a wave. Thank you very much, Richie.
Thank you, Bob. Have a very nice New Year.
Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Bob. How are you? Oh, I meant not to ask that question for the simple reason you do very well. I have a brief question. Can anyone tell me who has helped the blacks more than the white people?
Well,
no, if it weren't for the white people, they'd still be in Africa having tribal warfare and cannibalizing each other. They have a lot to be thankful for. We've educated them. We've certainly done a heck of a lot for them. We've handed them things they don't deserve that they haven't.
What made you
just
present this?
They're so vociferous.
But what made you present this point of view at this time?
Well, it's a bad time, truly. Yeah.
No. Though I don't mean because it's a holiday season. I mean, what prompted you to say?
The many events that occur. They're so demanding.
Hey, have you noticed, by the way, over the weekend we were blessed with another visitation from Jesse Jerkson. Did you notice?
Yes.
While he's talking about the homeless, did you notice the gorgeous coat this guy's wearing?
Couldn't he share it with someone?
What a coat!
Couldn't he share it with someone? He could always get another one.
Yeah, it's amazing. No, you don't have to worry about Jesse and his wardrobe and his travel allowance and nothing. I'd love to have his money.
Yep.
Love to have it.
Oh, he knows which side.
I'd trade places with him so fast, make your head swim. Okay, thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Todd, you're on WABC. Hello. Do we have Todd here? Todd, are you? Todd, are you there?
And kind of interesting. I'd like to respond a little bit to what the.
Hello, Todd.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just responding to what that last person said about white people have helped black people in this country. Well, like to inform that person, that's a very interesting concept. That white people help black people in this country because black people never asked to come to this country in the first place. And white people.
Well, that isn't entirely true. Maybe 350 years ago it was true.
Well,
but now they're coming in like it's going out of style.
I understand from history, slavery only ended 18 years ago.
No, not 118 years ago. It was officially ended in 1863. But what are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? We got to deal with today. Are we going to deal with 1988? Do you want a history lesson? I love history. It was my favorite subject in
me
school.
too. I majored in college.
I beg your pardon?
I majored in history in college.
You majored in history in college?
History in college.
Wow. What type of history?
International history.
There is no such subject as international history.
Sure there is.
No, there isn't. You tripped yourself up, you dope.
You calling me a dope? I like that. That's really
Yeah, get off my phone. There's no such thing as international history. There's world history, U.S. history, modern European history, etc. But there's no category as international history, and he knew it. I tell you, I got to get out of here. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. All right, let's get back to our telephones on WABC and say hello to Tom. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Bob. Real quick comment for your last caller. I believe it was 1818 that federal law prohibited the import of any further slaves in the United States.
It did, but I didn't want to go into that because that is not the issue here.
No, of course not.
Go play his game, Tom. You people always get sucked into playing their game.
You're right. I know it's a little off the wall, Bob, but a buddy of mine just got back from Hawaii, and he described the politics in Hawaii as being really far left.
It is.
How did that happen in a place like that? Do you know anything about their politics?
Well, how did it happen in a place like that? First of all, the mix, the population mix, has never felt comfortable with anything but a New Deal type of approach to anything. And their heroes have been people like Matsunaga, and have been people like the senator who made a name for himself on the committee for the, you know who I'm imitating here? See if you can tell me his name.
Oh, damn it, he was on that committee this summer.
Inouye. Daniel Inouye. So it should come as no anybody who's familiar with their voting patterns, it should come as no surprise. It doesn't make sense though in a state where at least 345,000 people are Japanese ancestry, and Japanese are basically conservative people who believe in the work ethic, who believe in individual enterprise, who are entrepreneurial. Nevertheless, one of the strange anomalies is those very same Japanese who, if they lived elsewhere, might be conservatives, might be Republicans, are left-wing Democrats. And Hiram Fong was a Republican, but he was the only Republican elected to anything, and he's no longer in the United States Senate.
No. Bob, before I hang off here, I want to thank you, and for me and for perhaps many of your other listeners, for helping us put into words ideas thoughts that we might have, but maybe couldn't vocalize as well as you do. Again, thanks for your show, huh?
All right, Tom. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sam, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Bob.
Yes, Sam.
Bob, this is Sam.
Yes.
I happened to listen to your show for the past 2 weeks. I'm just here on vacation. First of all, to speak about my ethnic background, I was born over the West Bank on the Gaza Strip.
You were born what?
I was born on the West Bank.
On the West Bank. Okay, all right.
I'm a Palestinian. I have one question for you, because I've been listening to your show for the past 2 weeks, like I said before. Have you been to Israel lately?
Yes, I was in Israel in February of this year.
You were in Israel?
In February of this year was the last time I was there, yes.
Okay, but...
By the way, while I was there, I visited Nablus, Hebron.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
But did you visit the West Bank and the Gaza?
Didn't you hear me tell you that I was in Nablus and Hebron?
Uh-huh.
Now, if you are really from where you say you are, then you know where Nablus and Hebron are.
I believe I do know.
Where are they?
Where are they?
Yeah, you phony, you fake. What a fraud. Have you been to the West Bank lately? And I tell him I've been to, and he doesn't know. Oh, my gosh. Neil, you're on WABC. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Grant. It's a very great pleasure for me to speak with you. I admire you very much, and I listen to you continuously as much as possible. I called about when you mentioned about the Sengalese, where they work, how they're in the country, so many of them. And I really think that they're in because of the foreign currency. The country is very poor. And they have.
No, how did they get in here?
Oh, they made them students.
These guys are students?
Have the steel.
They're all students?
They make them the students, or something like that, and they all come to America. And they.
You go to the Bryant Hotel. You go to 54th Street and Broadway.
Yeah.
And you'll think you're in the heart of Dakar. You'll think you're in Senegal. You'll think you're in the Cameroons. You'll think you're at the Ivory Coast.
That's right.
You'll think you're in any place but the United States of America.
Yes. Also, one more thing. I really think very much strong of conservative, and because of your stand on so many things. And more people are called make fun. I think it's strong. It makes us more revered to.
You feel all right, Neil? Are you okay?
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you something, Neil. If I were that nervous,
yes.
I wouldn't call. Because you hear your heart pounding, your mouth gets dry, your pulse is racing ahead, right?
A little, but not.
A little.
It's worth the call.
God bless you. You know something, Neil? You're a better man than I am, because if I were that nervous, I wouldn't call.
Well, I have to say what I feel, and you did it for a lot of people.
Well,
thank you, Mr. Grant.
Not at all, Neil. Hey, listen, Neil,
yes,
call again, will you?
I will.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
WABC New York.